guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to be checking out the most powerful stand in the universe. What this is an action figure display stand from Ramen Toys. This is essentially a third-party stand created with your Masters of the Universe action figures in mind. Specifically, it is made to fit with Origins, but can also work with Masterverse and Classics. So we're going to take a look at these here today. I got to give a very special thanks to the folks over at Ramen Toys because they sent a few of these over so we can get a good look at them. I was pretty excited about the idea of these when they were first announced, and I was anxious to check them out, so that is what we're going to do here today. So I've already got an open sample here, but before we really get into looking at that, I do want to show you the box that these come in. Will look just like this. I love this. Boom! Instant three-dimensional fun to show off your collection. That's great. So here, just to show you how this comes packaged. We do have some bubble wrap here that houses the stand on the inside. There's some minor assembly required. You'll get a little plastic baggie with 2 pegs. We're going to come back to the pegs in a second here. And then the stand, you can see it's really nice the way that's kind of fit in there. This is a plastic stand, so it's full production, feels really sturdy, doesn't feel fragile at all. So you can take the bottom part of that stand out, and we'll just line up those pegs there. And just snaps into place. It's a really solid fit. You can detach it if you want to once you put it together, but I will say it's a nice firm fit, holds together very, very nicely, and now you've got yourself a cool 3D display stand. Of course, this is the red bursting rocks look. It's meant to mimic the vintage Masters of the Universe card backs, the red bursting rocks that you see behind the figures. One of the other things I want to show you real quick here is that on the back, you'll see there's this little He-Man H logo. You can actually take this off, and if you look at the bottom of the stands here, you've got this little area where you can plug that in, and that's because the stands are designed to fit together if you want to. So you can actually fit those together. You can see the stands are designed so that they will go flush up against each other. You do also have these nice little rubber feet on the bottom, so that way it'll hold in place. It won't scuff things up. I do like that quite a bit. And then, look at that. Now we've got these 2 stands that are sitting side by side. So it is nice to know that if you get multiples of these, you can clip those together if you want to, if you want to line up a whole bunch of them up on the shelf there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back. You can see if you want to, this little H thing just, the little H thing just kind of fits in the slot right here on the back, plugs back in, so you can house it there if you want to. So let's look at the measurements here. If we go from the bottom of the base to the top here, you can see we're at the 8-inch mark, a little bit over the 8-inch mark with some of these rocks bursting out here. And then width-wise, we're looking at a little over 6 inches across. So I will say, it's going to take up a lot of space on your shelves. This is one of those things that it would be hard to buy a bunch of these for like every figure in your collection because it's going to take up a ton of shelf space. So I imagine these sort of being something that you want to display like special figures on or something like that. At least that's the way I would do it. Totally up to you guys how you want to do it. But it's also worth noting that this comes in a couple different colors. You have green, like Castle Grayskull, that I guess you could use for your heroic warriors, and purple for Snake Mountain that you can use for your evil warriors. So you could do just like the red, like the classic card backs there, then green and purple for your good guys and bad guys. Hey, you can also even just use the red for the Horde maybe, if you want to do like Grayskull, Heroic Warriors, Evil Horde, and then Snake Mountain, Evil Warriors there. So you've got lots of options with this, which is really, really nice. So let's go back to these pegs here. These pegs, you're going to have 2 different ones. There's a shorter peg and a longer peg. And I want to show you some examples here of how I've already taken a look at these because I was trying out some different pegs to see exactly what they were for. These different pegs here are going to be for the different types of figures. The shorter pegs are definitely going to be for your Masters of the Universe Origins action figures. They fit those the best, and then those longer pegs seem to work better with the Masterverse figures, and I will show you what I mean here. So first of all, the tiny little peg here, you'll actually want to just kind of pop onto this hole. I will say this is a very, very tight fit with these pegs, so it's a bit hard to get them plugged in the first time, and also, once they are in, it is really hard to take them back out without using a pair of pliers and slowly pulling them out. So I would try to figure out which one you're going to use before you put it in there, because it is very hard to remove it once it's attached. You can see this is actually pretty tight to get in there. So now we're going to bring in a Masters of the Universe Origins figure here. We've got Thunder Punch He-Man, and I'll show you how, the foot pegs, the holes on the bottom of these figures are in the back of the heel here, and they definitely work the best on these shorter pegs. They actually plug on nice and snug, and then just like that, we now have our action figure on a very cool looking display. And you can see the way the Origins figures stand on there, their height on there, they actually come up just a little bit above the halfway point on there, so they're still quite a bit up above the figure, but it looks really cool, especially with those red bursting rocks coming out around the figure. It definitely makes it look sort of important, right? Like this is an important piece in your collection. So I'm going to move this one aside for just a second. I'm going to bring the green base over here. On the green base, I've already attached one of the longer pegs. The longer pegs seem to be for your Masterverse figures. So we're going to use our new Eternia Zodak here as the stand-in. So same with these guys. The peg holes are on the back of the heels on these, but they are shaped a little bit different, and they're deeper than the peg holes on the Origins feet. So it does seem that these hold a lot better. You really got to kind of press those pegs in once you get the figure on top of it, but look at that. He actually fits on there quite nicely, and this is what a Masterverse figure looks like. Now these, of course, are in like that 7-inch scale. They stand a lot taller, so he actually almost comes all the way up to the top, but that still looks really, really nice. So that is what works for your Masterverse figures. Now, Masters of the Universe Classics is the other one. I know there's a lot of folks out there still have a ton of those in their collections, always looking for cool new ways to display them, and these do work with those as well. But I will say that the peg holes are a little bit trickier here. For one thing, the peg holes are in the middle of the feet on Classics figures, and they do not go as deep as the Masterverse figures. So these longer pegs do not seem to work with the Classics figures. I tried, it is just really not fitting on there. So the shorter pegs, like we use for Origins, seems to work the best for Classics, but I will say that they don't attach to them quite as tight as the Origins figures. However, it does work, and now you can see what a Masters of the Universe Classics figure looks like on this display stand as well. Honestly, I think this looks great with all three of them there. You might need to play with those pegs just a little bit to see what works best for your collection, because like I said, he's not quite as solid on the peg as the Origins figures are or the Masterverse figures are, but it still looks really, really nice. And of course, the other thing to keep in mind too, I really thought about using these to display my vintage figures on, especially ones that I really, really like. But it's worth noting that the vintage Masters figures do not have peg holes on the bottom of their feet. So you totally could still just stand them on these bases, but there's not going to be anything to secure them in place. So just something to keep in mind there. So this is the other really cool feature about these. They have slots on the back where if you decided to keep your card backs from your Origins figures, the card backs will fit on the back of these display stands. There's little lips here, so you just got to get the card back lined up in there, and look at that. It just slides onto the back, and then we can turn this around. Let's go ahead and bring Whiplash over here. I'm going to put my Origins Whiplash on this display, and now you can see the way it's designed so the card back sticks up over the top, displays the Masters of the Universe logo. The name is cut off a bit, which is kind of unfortunate. I almost wish these were a little bit shorter so you can see the name displayed more prominently, but it does still show the logo at the top, and the other reason I like this is because it's easy to now turn these around and see that gorgeous artwork. It almost is like giving you a way to display the artwork. In fact, I guess if you really wanted to, you could also, it's totally up to you. If you want to display the artwork forward, you can always do it like this too. It's going to show a little bit of the white from the cross cell underneath, but you've got some different options there. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of neat because I know that there are a lot of people out there who keep their card backs, because of the artwork and everything. So this would be really cool to display it this way for some of your favorite figures in your collection. Again, it's just the name. I wish the name was a little bit more prominent, could actually be fully seen on there, but I do still think that that's a pretty fun idea. So there you go, my friends. That is a look at the new most powerful stands in the universe from Ramen Toys. All in all, I do really like these. I think they are designed nicely. They are sturdy. They are well balanced. You know, it's a nice, solid, good feeling plastic, which is really cool. And it does look nice with your action figures. The only downsides I really see is one, if you're going to display the card backs, it cuts off the name, but also the size. They're big. They take up a lot of shelf space. And I know as collectors, we're always looking for ways to cram as much on our shelves as possible, and these are definitely going to prevent that. But if you're wanting like a nice clean display, or you're only wanting like certain figures to have this really cool backdrop, these work great for that. I think that they're really nice, and if it's something you've been looking for as like a cool way to display your He-Man figures, these are definitely worth checking out. So these are available for pre-order right now at places like BigBadToyStore.com. They're going to run you $12.99 a stand. So again, they are a little expensive, which means if you're going to buy a lot of them, so it could get costly. There are multi-packs, like they come in 6 packs also, which will save you a little bit of money. So definitely worth looking into that as well. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video, and until next time.